Good afternoon. Thank you for watching Fourth Quarter Lights on the last day of 2021. It is New Year's Eve. Sorry for the camera quality. I know it's going to be shaky and you may hear some road noise as I am driving, and I do apologize. I have been extremely busy over the last week. I actually went down to Georgia, saw family, was down there for 5 or 6 days, came back home, and have been working up until today. So really haven't had time to make a video or to set up any of the new equipment that I got to make YouTube videos for Christmas. And again, I just haven't had time to set that up. So running out of time, I wanted to get a video in. It feels like it's been 6 months since I've last made a video. It's only been a couple weeks, 2 weeks if that. But just wanted to look ahead and preview the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl in Atlanta featuring Georgia and Cincinnati. That game is tomorrow at 12. Kickoff will probably be actually 12:30 or 12:35. Some TV conflicts, but also the CEO of the Peach Bowl came out and said that they were going to honor the seniors of both teams, and especially UGA. And I don't think Cincinnati got their senior day either. I could be wrong about that. But Georgia did not get their senior day because Vanderbilt canceled the game twice. And so they want to be able to recognize those seniors on the field before the game. And it sounds like we're going to have a chance to do that tomorrow. So this is a big game for both teams. Obviously, Georgia is excited to be in this game, but also disappointed at the same time. Because we do have college football playoff aspirations and national championship hopes every year. That's just the way that it is with the culture in Athens and the way that Kirby Smart is recruiting. You can't expect anything less than the college football playoffs and a national championship when you have the most talented team in the country every year. So that's where we are. I'm excited to be in the Peach Bowl. I'm happy that we're playing in it. And I think that it's going to be a great game featuring two really good teams tomorrow. Cincinnati is undefeated at 9-0. A lot of people thought that they should have made the playoffs. Georgia coming in at 7-2. Again, did not get to play their 10th regular season game. That would have put them at 8-2. And obviously would have boosted a lot of stats, but have an opportunity to get to 8-2. Cincinnati has the opportunity to get to 10-0 and prove the College Football Playoff Committee wrong. And so a few things to look for in this game. I said on Twitter earlier this week that although it's a very similar scenario, this game to me does not have the Texas-Georgia Sugar Bowl vibes. And it got a good reaction, a positive reaction on Twitter. And what I mean by that is Georgia, before the Texas game, had college football playoff hopes, and they were right on the edge. They were in the conversation right before the SEC championship and had their hearts ripped out by Jalen Hurts in overtime of that game against Alabama. I don't want to talk too much about that because who wants to live in the past on those Alabama games? But again, Georgia was motivated going into that SEC championship game. They wanted to get into the playoffs, potentially go back to the national championship game for the second year in a row, and it didn't happen. Georgia lost to Alabama. Essentially no motivation to play that game against Texas, and it showed on the field. And that was Texas's biggest game since their last national championship. So what was that, in the mid-2000s? So, 15 years, give or take. That was Texas's biggest game. They wanted to be there. They were prepared for it. And Georgia was the complete opposite. They didn't want to be there. They weren't prepared for it. And it showed. We lost. It ended up being a close game, but if you watched the game, it really never was close. Georgia scored kind of in garbage time later in that game. But this game does not feel that way to me. Georgia knew that their season was over after we lost to Florida, and I won't get into that right now because I wish we if Georgia has JT Daniels and Richard LeCounte in that game, I think it's a completely different game, 100%. And we're in a completely different scenario right now, but that is a topic for another day. So Georgia lost to Florida. The players knew that the season was over at that point, but yet they still came out gritty and motivated and wanting to play, and they finished the rest of the season undefeated. They looked really good in the last couple weeks. I know it's South Carolina and Missouri, but still, they looked really good, motivated, wanted to be playing, and I think it's going to be the same thing tomorrow against Cincinnati. Georgia's motivated. They want to be there. They want to show what is coming back for 2021, because there is a lot coming back for 2021, and there's a lot of reason to be excited as a UGA fan for next season. And we're going to get a glimpse of that. A lot of players were said to be opting out earlier in the season, earlier in the last couple of weeks, right after the games finished and the bowls were announced. A lot of players were said to be opting out, not playing. And while that is true, there are quite a few starters that are going to be out of the game. More players are seemingly now opting back in or saying, yeah, that wasn't true. I was always going to play in this game. And a lot of huge key pieces. Jordan Davis is going to play. Richard LeCounte, if the doctors clear him and he's good enough to go, he's going to play. He's been practicing for the last couple weeks. You don't practice for a bowl game unless you're going to play in it. So I am under the full impression that Richard LeCounte is going to play in this game. Tyson Campbell, who has received some favorable draft grades and predictions on where he's going to go in the draft, he is playing. He said he wants to finish out the task. I don't know if that means that he's going to declare or not, but he's playing. So if those three are in the game, and I know that there's been a lot of complaints about Tyson Campbell and his 3 years, but he has the experience, and that's really what we need, is that experience out there at corner, because Eric Stokes is one of the guys that is not playing. And we will definitely miss him, and also the backup corner, DJ Daniel, who started a lot last year, played a lot last year, was hurt most of this season, and he also opted out, and he is going to the NFL. We are also going to be missing Trey Hill. That is because of injury, not because of an opt-out or anything like that. Ben Cleveland, he opted out. He is going to the NFL. Not really a concern on offensive line. We have plenty of depth, plenty of guys that can fill in at that guard spot. And same thing with Trey Hill. Warren Erickson, he played the last couple games. No concerns for me on the offensive line. Trey McKitty, not a huge deal because we don't use the tight end as big as some other teams do, but we do have Darnell Washington, we have Fitzpatrick, we have Godey. We have plenty of depth at the offensive line, tight end position, where those don't really mean a whole lot as far as those guys being out. Biggest thing is going to be Richard LeCounte. If he plays in this game, that is going to completely change and transform the Georgia pass defense, and they're going to be able to shut down Desmond Ridder. So hopefully he does play, and at this point we're less than 24 hours to the game. There's not going to be any more opt-outs or anything like that that we haven't heard of. So I'm very excited. Azeez Ojulari, he is playing in this game. Another huge key to that Georgia defense coming back. Jermaine Johnson, he did enter the transfer portal, so he will not be playing. But again, outside linebacker is probably the deepest position at UGA, and it's the reason that Jermaine Johnson is in the portal, is just because we have so many studs, we have so many five-star guys at outside linebacker that Kirby has to rotate them and keep them fresh, and he can't just have one featured outside linebacker. So he's not going to be playing. We've got Nolan Smith, Adam Anderson. We've got plenty of guys to pick up the slack that we will be missing from Jermaine Johnson. That's really it as far as the opt-outs. Cincinnati, they obviously don't have a ton of high NFL prospects. They might have a couple, but I haven't heard anything as far as any of their big name guys being out of this game. They have a great quarterback. He may be the second or third best quarterback that we've played against this year. If we're being honest, he's very dynamic. He ran for over 600 yards this year. He had 6 or 7 touchdowns on the ground. He threw for another 2,100, 2,200 yards, something like that. 2,800 total yards on the season. Close to 30 touchdowns. Had a couple 6, 7 interceptions, something like that. But very dynamic quarterback. If the passing game is shut down, he's going to beat you with his legs. If he can't run, he's going to beat you through the air. And that has been his MO this whole season. And that has been the key to Cincinnati's success. Because Desmond Ridder, in a couple games, he didn't have huge passing numbers. But in the games where he didn't have huge passing numbers, he put up big rushing numbers. I believe he had 3 separate games of over 100 yards rushing and at least 2 touchdowns, maybe even 3 in each of those games. So 3 separate games of 100 yards and 2 touchdowns on the ground. He had 1 game where he had almost 200 yards rushing. So he is definitely going to be an issue. We're going to have to contain him. I would think that there's going to be a lot of man with a spy on Desmond Ridder just to keep him honest, keep him in the pocket and make him throw. Because when they have the ability to do either, it gets a little scary back there. They've got some really good wide receivers that can play. They have a decent running back. Dokes, I believe, is his name. He had about 700 yards on the year. So they have got the pieces. And Cincinnati, while they don't play in a great conference and face great competition, they are one of the only teams, if not the only team, Alabama might be in there, to finish both top 20 in total offense and total defense. That's rare for that to happen, to have that kind of balance and firepower on both sides of the ball, to where both offense and defense are top 20. Their offense, I believe, is ranked 10th, and their defense was ranked 10th, and their offense was 19th, or somewhere in there. Nonetheless, both are top 20. Both really good units on both sides of the ball. They did a really good job shutting down Central Florida and Dylan Gabriel in that game. Central Florida has the #1 offense in the country by almost every standard and calculation, and Cincinnati held them under 35 points. I believe they scored 30 or 33 in that game. They've got some playmakers, especially at linebackers. So their 2 leading tacklers are both their inside linebackers. Both of their inside linebackers also have 4 interceptions on the year total. They each have 2 interceptions. One has a pick 6. So they have a very good defensive unit, and I think, I could be completely wrong on this, last I looked, Cincinnati was one of the top 5 teams in the country in interceptions, takeaways. So their defense, ball hawks, and they will get after that ball. I don't think that it's going to be enough. I think that Georgia is going to come out, again, very motivated, gritty, hungry, want to prove to everybody that they do belong at the top.
But if you want to just put teams right now at the end of the season on the field that you don't want to play, I don't know about you guys, but Georgia right now with JT Daniels.
And kind of showcase what's going to be coming back for next season. I think that this game could be very close at halftime. Would not be surprised at all if Cincinnati was winning this game at the half. Something like 14-10 or 17-14, something along those lines. But I think Georgia's depth and experience will come out in the second half, and I think Georgia does pull away in the second half. Not going to be a blowout game, but I think that Georgia could win this game by 2 or 3 touchdowns. I could see a 34-20 type game. I don't think that Georgia's going to put up 50 points on Cincinnati. I think their defense is just too good, but I could see them definitely getting into the 30s, possibly even the 40s. A 38-24 type game would not surprise me at all. Hopefully our defense plays well and shuts down Desmond Ridder, And I think UGA wins this game rather comfortably. My final score prediction for the Georgia-Cincinnati Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl is Georgia 37, Cincinnati 20. Georgia winning by 17. We'll see what happens. Have a safe and happy new year. Thank God that 2020 is over. Have fun watching the game tomorrow. We'll see you next time. Go Dogs.